A patient's consent status will be clearly shown on the clinical screen and will appear red if consent has not been given. Additionally, there is a yellow warning bar which states that a patient has not yet given consent. Consent not yet recorded is the default status when a new patient is added manually. If a patient has not yet recorded their consent, they will not be able to access the patient portal and will not be able to enter any clinical data onto the system. In this case, Amplitude will ask for consent electronically from the patient via email on your behalf when they next log into the patient portal. This will update their consent status accordingly. Consent given. The patient has given their consent. You can manually mark the patient as consent given. For example, over the phone when adding a new patient, or in clinic at the time of the appointment by amending their patient details. In these cases, we trust that you have obtained the appropriate consent from the patient and that they have understood the patient consent statement, and we always recommend you keep a dated record. Consent not given. The patient has chosen to not give their consent. If a patient has not given consent, they will not be able to access the patient portal and will not be able to enter any clinical data onto the system. Consent withdrawn. The patient has decided to withdraw their consent after giving it previously.
The patient may have contacted you directly via email, or they may have changed their own consent status within the patient portal. In this case, you will see a new notification in the top menu. Click on the notepad icon and then select the red number box next to Consent Rejections from Patient Portal. This will reveal the name of the patient who has withdrawn their consent, and you can click here to see their clinical record. You will see the yellow warning bar and red consent withdrawn status. Their contact consent will also automatically be switched off, so they will not receive any emails. Finally, you will see a new form in red named Patient Consent Rejected. To turn off the notification, please click on this form, make a note of why this patient withdrew consent and what solution you employed, then mark the form as complete. The form and notification will now disappear. Firstly, we recommend you discuss and clarify with the patient as to why they have chosen not to give or withdraw their consent, as they may not have understood or have selected this option by accident. You can direct them to our patient consent guide video, which is directed at explaining the process for patients. The patient may just want to stop receiving emails asking them to complete their health questionnaires, in which case you can easily turn off their contact consent in their patient details. If the patient wants to withdraw consent for their anonymous data to be used for research and auditing purposes, you should change both their consent status to consent withdrawn and turn off their contact consent in patient details if the patient hasn't already done so themselves. This ensures that no further clinical data is collected from this patient. If the patient specifically requests for their data to be deleted from the system, please see our guide on deleting a patient.